But let me start with the lady right next to Rosie. She's always lovely, always a lady. A twin as well, so Gemini makes so much sense. The very lovely Olivia. Hi, Olivia.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm great.
How's your week been?
It's been good. Tons of vitamin S. Let's just say we thank God.
God is good. God is good. Some of us can say we relate, but we don't.
I can imagine so.
We'll come back to that. Someone who I'm not sure if she can relate, but I'm pretty sure she might. The one and only Felicia. Hi, Felicia. How you doing, darling? You look good as always.
Oh, thank you.
Can you relate to vitamin S?
I know.
Ayo. People will say what they'll say. Okay, let's move on. But ladies, I hope you're all ready for today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's get into it. Today's story is quite interesting. So, dear sisters, I married my wife about 4 years ago, and 3 months into our marriage, I had the opportunity to travel out of the country. Everything was going on pretty well between us at first. We communicated all the time, and I presumed all was well at home. 2 years after, I was unfortunately deported and had no option but to come back home. I called her and broke the news to her immediately after I got to the airport here in Ghana. She told me how she now lives with her uncle and will tell her uncle to give me his boys' quarters so I can stay there for a while. We got home and everyone was so happy to the extent that her uncle advised and encouraged me. We could only make love, however, when the uncle was away, which seemed absurd to me. One Saturday, she was in the main building with her uncle, and we could only make love when her uncle was away, which seemed absurd to me. One Saturday afternoon, I sent the gateman on an errand, and the doorbell rang. I quickly went to go and get it, only to see my wife's aunt. Her facial expression showed all was not well, as she kept asking what I was doing there. For a while, I was confused. Then I explained my ordeal to her. She then told me that after I left Ghana, my wife told her family that I said I couldn't continue with the marriage anymore, so she should move on. After some time, she brought a man home who she claimed wanted to marry her. Apparently, she has been married for almost 3 years, and I had no idea. Do you know the worst part? I have been sleeping with her in her own husband's home. The worst part is, I sent most of the money I made abroad to her to take care of her and her family. All the money I could have invested, I spent on a woman who had divorced and remarried while I had no idea about it. I was so heartbroken and I don't know what to do. Some parts of me wants revenge, but I'm afraid I can even harm her and her new husband if I focus on revenge. Sisters, what do I do? All the money I spent on her when things were well for me has been in vain. I feel broken.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm lost.
Woman divorces husband unknowingly while he was there. So basically, she could have gone 10 years while having a husband in Ghana and having a husband in abroad sending her money. Now, that seems a tad bit wicked.
But where's the Ghana husband?
The
uncle.
The uncle is her
The uncle is her husband.
The supposed uncle is actually her husband.
The uncle may know that he is the ex-husband, or at least because he's so. If you're being introduced as an, we need a few more better particulars for the story, but at least for now we'll take it as it is. He clearly knows the uncle assumes her. Wait, how does the uncle?
So here's the thing. I feel that there's an agreement here because the husband abroad has been sending money.
So could it be the house he's living in is the one that he's using?
I won't be surprised. I'm sure this uncle is enjoying or is benefiting from the money. But then also men are jealous.
So why would you allow another man stay in your boys' quarters when you know this other man clearly has a relationship with the one that you're married to?
Unless that man is not well-to-do and unless he's very much aware of what's going on, therefore he enjoys the fact that this guy who used to be abroad was supplying and providing money. So it's free money. So they're both in on it. That is why she would not have sex with him when the man is around. And all of this is now beginning to make sense because this auntie walked in and this auntie literally opened
Spilled
his
the
eyes.
beans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This one here, it's sad here, but this is what I think. Now you have information. Information is power.
Yeah.
It's tough. The betrayal, the hurt, the pain, you can't even begin to think about how you'll revenge. If I were you, I will find my feet again. The best revenge on this planet is success.
But the money that you could have used to find your
It's
feet,
all gone. What can you do?
That's
You
where
can't
that's
do
the painful
anything.
point right
And
now.
unfortunately, he's been asked to come back here. He can't go back. He can't afford rent as it stands. He needs to pick up from scratch.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. But now at least he knows to be wicked up here. I'm not condoning wickedness, but he knows to be a little selfish about his happiness and about himself. Re-strategize. Take this moment. Decide you're not going to give her any money because you don't have. You can assume the position of, I don't have. You don't give. You don't pay for rent. They pay for rent. They pay for electricity, water. At the end of the year, and the boys' quarters, aren't you? Decide not to have sex with her. Continue to say, oh, because your uncle is there. You know, the
So
only
he
reason
shouldn't
I'm
move
saying,
out?
because he needs to find his feet. He needs to make money. He needs to decide, okay, what kind of business venture? Now, this is the time. Don't waste your time over spilled milk. This is what I think, because it's already been gone. People are going to be wicked. At least you know. It's better for you to know now than to know later. This is what I think. Start something. Revenge, success is the best revenge. Put yourself together. If it means that you start something, start a business, start looking for work. Now you know that you have to be successful at all costs. And then you walk out. Maybe make sure that you've got all the things that you need. Handle the situation with tact. Be the fool. So far, they think that you're a fool, but they don't know what you know right now. Continue to be the fool. Continue to assume the position of naivety, like I'm naive, I have no idea. Gather some money, be successful. Once you do that, then you're in a position of power whereby now you can call the shots and you can tell them, talk to the hands. By which time you've gathered your money and you've left. But if you rush right now, why are you going? Because it doesn't sound like you have parents to go to. It doesn't sound, because if you had another option, you won't be living in that house. Knowing that you're married and you're going to put your pride and your ego aside as a man and live with your uncle-in-law. You wouldn't do that. So, like, you have nothing. Build yourself. Build yourself. This is what I call being Don Silencio, whereby the people around you who think that they've made a fool out of you don't know how much you know. And you make them continue to think that until, and then pray about it until God makes you successful. And yeah, that. Whether you revenge, whether you are angry, whether you call the police people, whether you do whatever, you can't go back. You can't get what you've lost. You've lost her as a wife. Did you even have her to start with?
Well,
you just
but if 3 months into your marriage you up and leave, did you really even know her in the first place?
Exactly. Yeah. You can't brood over spilt milk, and this, unfortunately, is a bitter pill to swallow, and it's an experience. Next time, it gives you the opportunity to look at life differently, to look at people differently. I'm not saying that assume everybody will be like her, because other than that, you could also actually miss out on real love. There are genuine people out there, but it just makes you a little bit tactful. Before you're going to get married to somebody, what do you need to know? Do the investigation, go to the court, go to find out, okay, have they been married before? Have they been divorced before? Like, make sure that you know what you're getting into, and don't keep yourself away from loving, because love can really happen. There are true, genuine people out there, and you can make it. Don't focus on the negativity, otherwise it will bring you down. These things, they can cause you to be mental.
Honestly.
They can. But focus, you can make it. Once you started, you will make it.
And let me come to Rosie. You've been quiet. Like you're still brooding over it.
I'm bordering on a mental. Like I can't run across it, because I'm just thinking. So the whole process, it means that he gets married to her, leaves, and then he just busily orchestrates the divorce based on the fact that my husband is not present, he's not doing X, he's not doing Y, and they call the courts, one, he's not showing, two, he's not showing, and the court to grant the divorce because obviously he's been away for so long, nobody can get in touch with him. And if he says he was deported, it means that one should have found krata. So which means that they can't really locate him properly for him to have a fair say. So he was just divorced in his absence without his knowledge. And then he and this guy scammed the husband. You understand? Now my question is that the money that he was sending down, what was the purpose? To build a house?
To take care of your wife.
To take care of your wife. What was the purpose? You know what I mean? And you see, this life. Anyways,
So
so
Rosie, what if she called and then she said, "Oh, I need money to fix my hair. I need money to do this." You
and
husband,
the thing is, as a husband who really loves your wife, cares for your wife,
You
you know,
can.
it's for you, it's an ego thing, or it's a pride booster to be able to take care of your wife, especially when you love your wife. You want to be there for her, take care of her. It's nice for you to know there's a reason why you're working. You know, when you're outside and you're working because you need to take care of a family, it's different. But when you're just surviving, you know, when people are chilling and spending their money buying bottles in the clubs, you are busily saving the little that you can to send back home and all that. So it is truly painful. Now, the fact that the uncle has allowed him to come there and everything, it means that the uncle is in on it. There is a game plan to eventually break his heart at some point. Maybe they just want to like, oh, well, he's been
deported,
there.
so let's
Just accommodate him
for a
small.
little
At
bit.
some point, the game plan has to continue. For you know, the auntie coming in cry to tell him about what is
Probably
happening
even a part of
is
it.
part of the game plan. Now, I don't think that he's so hopeless and doesn't have a place to go. What I think is that his sense of duty to his wife is so paramount that when he was coming down, the best place he thought he could be
It's with his wife.
is with his wife, whether in a hole or in a mansion. Because of the love and the respect he has for that institution of marriage, I'm sure there's somewhere he can go. And like Olivia said, pick up the pieces. There are certain milk, Charlie, you can't pick it up. You can't, certain things once lost, it's very difficult to pick up the pieces. So I think that at this point, the little bit of pride you have, a little bit of dignity you have, because it's you sending the message. I don't even want to go in on what the lady has done and all of that. It's they'll meet their meter. You know what I mean? So for me, for him, all I'll say is that look, you did what you did for your wife genuinely, wholeheartedly. Now that this woman has come and told you exactly what is going on, I think that just plan your exit. And where I would differ with Olivia is that I wouldn't want to be successful before I leave the house. I would want to leave the house with my dignity intact. Besides, you have already divorced me. So I don't even have to spend money divorcing you again. You have done that. So that means the monies I was sending to you, you've used those monies to divorce me, Abi. No wahala. So just pick up your pieces. If you have to go and pet with your friend, do that. If you have to go to family, do that. And you are somebody who knows how to work. So you can always work and pick up the pieces. The thing is, it's going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. And there's going to be a mental element here. Where at some point you were working to make someone happy. And now the same reason you were working is now the very reason you have to work again. But now with different set of emotions. Anger, disappointment, disbelief, you know, all of that. So all I'll say is that, look, it's a very terrible place to find yourself in, but all is not lost because you still have life. So pick yourself up, leave her. Such a woman doesn't deserve someone like you. At some point, the two of them, her and then the uncle, they would have their own moments. And then at that time, you will be in the background and then you look at it and it will be like a beautiful movie. Yeah, and that will be your revenge.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I like that. Felicia, your thoughts about the story?
So when you started reading the story and I heard, like, when you got into the story, one thing that struck me was, women. These are the kind of women that, you know, that give, like, they ruin it for all of us. Like, they give that tag that, women are. But yeah, it breaks my heart to hear the story, especially coming from women, because in our society, for some strange reason, women are always the ones suffering from these things. Not that the man deserves it, but it's bad. But I side with my sisters, Rosie and Olivia, on this one. it's time for him to pick up the pieces and leave. And unfortunately, Rosie, I don't think he needs to wait till he succeeds before
Yeah, he
he
shouldn't
moves.
wait.
He should move on. I think he only came to the wife out of respect, because obviously you are married to your woman, and the Bible says when you get married, you leave your family and you cling to your wife, the wife that's same. So if I'm coming back from abroad, who do I go to? Obviously, I go to my wife. That's why he came to the woman. But with this information, it's time to leave. If I was to be him, I won't even wait for them to come back home. I will pack and leave immediately, and I will leave them in the dark, because there's no need for closure. Because if I personally, if I wait for them to come back, I will blow off. I will talk. I will react, and that's when they win. Because when somebody mistreats you and you kind of give them that closure, it makes it easy for them. Like if you tell them how you feel, it becomes easy. They've gotten to you. I won't let you get to me. I'll walk away, and you stay with your miseries, wondering, how did this guy leave? What happened? It's time for him to leave, and he shouldn't wait for anything. He should just move on. But one lesson I'm hoping that our viewers will take from this is, there's nothing wrong with having long distance relationship. But how do you manage the relationship? How was their communication like? Because if they were in constant communication, now there's video calls and stuff like that. People can be wicked, but I also feel like if you're in constant communication with someone, you will sense something. You will sense it. You won't have to wait for it to get to this extent to realize it. But then also, this guy got deported, so I'm sure he had his own struggles even before the deportation. That might have caused a break in communication, and this woman got away with it. But it's a sad incident. It's a sad story. It's too heartbreaking for me to talk much, because my sisters have already said all they have to say, and yeah, he should just move on. But he shouldn't take this on the next woman, unfortunately.
But to add to what
difficult.
Felicia is
But
saying
that part is the part that he divorced.
about long distance relationships, you haven't seen a girl who has decided that this is her abroche husband. She's not really into you, but she's going to pretend to be into you because of the benefit she can get.
So, Olivia, you feel
So-
you won't sense?
No,
No,
you won't
play.
sense. You won't sense, and especially when the man feels like, oh, he really loves you, and you will not do. Some women are good at pretending.
You know, and
you will never catch them.
And the thing is,
And men love more blindly compared to women. Women are more intuitive. But
Okay.
a man, if you give him attention, if you make him think that you're there for him, you care for him, the little things that you say, oh babe, have you eaten today? Oh, are you okay? Oh, those little things, like it makes them feel like, oh, you really care about them. But women go past just words. It's like, you said that, but what are my instincts telling me? There's something off. There's something. You're telling me that you love me. You've told me you've loved me twice. The first time you told me you love me, I felt it. The second time you told me you love me, it was, I heard you, but it was weird. Women are like that. We are able to just pick things.
I would just say that, look, the fact that the marriage was just for 3 months, for me, I'm thinking that they didn't even do the marriage long enough before he disappeared for so long. Now, the fact that he disappeared 3 months just after the marriage, it presupposes that whatever he was working on to be able to travel was already in progress.
Exactly.
So the whole agenda for traveling was to make sure that he married her quickly before he left. So there was a lot of room for they don't really know each other. And like Olivia said, sometimes when a man is doting over you, saying so much, oh, I love you, this is not normal. Why are you all of a sudden? I know the kind of person you are. But men will go like, hey, girl, no, I feel me. This money that I sent to her, Charlie, the way she was saying, and you'll be surprised. Look, a dubious woman, you can never know. Listen, it's possible that if it is a planned thing between her and this quote-unquote uncle, the uncle can even be there coaching her. She can even be doing video call, even have nudity, and the uncle is there, quote-unquote, show her this part, show him this part, so he'll send the money down. There are so many things that can happen. So sometimes, you see, long-distance relationships are hard. So that you think you know the person. But there's a difference living with somebody and virtually living with somebody. When it's virtual, you see what the other party wants you to see. If there's a phone call, the person will let you see what they want you to see. So at the end of the day, I feel like, they just didn't know each other. And then the girl just played on that. The girl had an agenda at the point of getting married, because you see, even if she wanted to play smart and cheat on the man, the fact that she went ahead and divorced him in absentia, for me, this whole thing, that was what spoke to me that also spoke to me the bigger, because if it was cheating, could have said, well, you left for long and the woman maybe, we could have said, or maybe, just work at it, talk to the woman. But this one, she has gone ahead and broken the marriage entirely. And
On
not
his blind
even
side.
to respect the fact that he should be in the know.
Just
Get up and say, boo, you know what?
I'm
You've been
done.
away for so long. I
I
can't
don't think I
continue
wanna do
doing
But,
this.
but Rosie, hold on. Usually when you serve somebody divorce papers, doesn't the other person need to sign?
No, listen, there are different circumstances under which divorce is given. So, for instance, you've been away for 1 year. In this case, he traveled all right, but he doesn't have papers. So he's probably hiding, probably working under a false name, working. So even if you want to look for him legally, most likely you don't find him. And looking at the time that he traveled, not in this present day of biometrics, most likely it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, biometric was not properly developed. So my question is that, look, he's traveled, he's away. You can make a case. Ever since your husband traveled, it's been 1 year, 2 years, I've not heard from him. How can we get in touch with him? The court cannot keep you hostage for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years when you haven't heard from your husband, or claim you haven't heard from your husband. Who are you married to, a
And it could have
ghost?
been a
And I
traditional
think there's a law that after a certain number of, when you are looking for somebody, after a span of some time, if you don't find the person, you can even assume the person dead.
like 7 years.
Yeah, so a
Like,
legal
they're
person,
dead.
you can assume the person dead. So at the end of the day, this same law provides room to actually go ahead with the divorce.
Yeah,
So the whole
I
thing is that
guess.
the fact that she divorced you in absentia, that statement alone is so big. Pick yourself up and leave.
But do you know what baffles me?
Okay.
This so-called auntie who walks in,
She's part of the
being.
plan. That's
I
what
have a
said.
strong
She was
feeling
part of
that
the game plan
she's
because-
part of the game plan. So the question is, are they devising a way to now get you out
Get
of
rid
the
of
house?
him, yeah.
And could it be that the house is even his?
It could be.
You know what? The lady knew that the man was coming.
Yeah.
Managed to convince the uncle, quote unquote, that look, he did this. So you know what? Now he needs a place to sleep. But the uncle too knows that no, when I'm away, things must be going on. Because a woman you're in bed with, when the woman is going somewhere, when the woman comes back, you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
So they've argued about it, they've had conversations. This person has to go. And they've gotten somebody to come and give him the heartbreaking information so that he smells the coffee, get up and leave. So at the end of the day, my take is, that's why I said like, that woman is probably part of the plot.
I wish you could do a
Because
search
what
on the
business-
land, though.
Because what business? No, it's not even necessary. What business do you have?
Entry
The
into
money
the
was
need.
given to her.